So as we progress through the examples, I want you to notice how the submissions get longer and longer, right? So there's more elaboration, there's text-based evidence being included, there's more attention to detail, more is being done to connect and show how things connect, right? The student is being more exact in each submission. So in the next submission, we're going to look at what I call a strong F, not a super F. So that the submission we look at now would get 40 to 59 points. Okay, so of course, other things can affect your grade, like, writing, and did you use proper writing mechanics and conventions and have good syntax. So then this right here, because this starts again on the next piece of paper. So this is an F, or what I call a super F. And like I said on the previous page, this one would get 40 to 49 points. Notice just visually we can see that more has been said here. So here I have this first response, which is an F, that stops right here. And then here I have this response. And you can see just by looking at them visually that one has a lot more conversation and discussion in it than does the other, yet nevertheless it still received an F, just a higher one. We see visually right away that a quote was included from the peer. In other words, this information comes straight out of their peer's original response. Okay. And you might notice some differences. I'll invite you to look at them on your own between the introduction to this submission versus the other one. So like the other one, this one says we both talk about being social, and it says, and then so here's basically saying the same thing. Now, so what they do here is they have to include an introduction to the quoted material. So you can see that what I have underlined is an introductory phrase that gives lots of interesting and useful information to have to present the quoted material. The student goes on to say what they had said before, I believe. They say, I don't get as detailed about my social sacrifice. Okay, so that's a new bit of information that wasn't in the previous response. And they say, furthermore, I don't refer to any specifics till the end of my reasoning. That was in the previous response. So here, we have a relevant quote to back up a claim that they're both talking about something social. We have a good introduction to that quote. And we have some more detail about their own response. And that's a mistake that some students make on this kind of assignment, is that they either focus more on their peers' response and don't say very much about their own with respect to the quoted material, or they say maybe very little with respect to their peers, the quote they get from their peers, and they say too much. They talk mostly only about their response. So I'm going to give you another insight later about another mistake students make when we get to some more examples, but keep those things in mind. This is better. Same question doesn't meet my expectations or the standards. Even if we were in Unit 2 and doing ethics, it doesn't meet the standards. So again, remember when you do your question, of course, you want to show attention to helping the students think more about their view from an epistemological standpoint, a question that shows an epistemological concern, or maybe one that you think they should have, or gets them to develop their epistemology better. But like I said, this would be a higher grade. We do have a quote. It's a little bit more detail about their own view. They have a good introduction to their quote, and they have a question. If they didn't have the question, it'd be on the lower end of the 40s. They get some points for having a question, but not very much. But yeah, so it would just depend. Other factors could influence exactly where the student falls between a 40 and a 49.